Happy New Year, guys! January is about new beginnings, renewed energy, and Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm so excited about this month. Celebrating MLK could not be a more perfect way to start the year. Celebrating a man who served the underserved and gave voice to those who were not being heard. MLK Day is the only federal holiday designated as a national day of service, to encourage all of us Americans to volunteer and improve our communities. The Corporation for National and Community Service is a great website where it's a great resource where you can go to find volunteer opportunities. But I bring it up now because there's a video on the homepage that I highly recommend you guys all watch, and watch with your children. It's very moving, it's beautiful, it's got Dr. King's voice, it talks about service, and it's just gonna spark conversation, and it's really gonna motivate you guys to get excited about January 20th, about the day and what you're gonna do on that day. So definitely check that out. I will put it in the link, I will put a link in the description below. Now I wanna stress, if you have little ones like me who are 2 and 6, it's not always practical or even impactful to go out to a parade in the freezing cold, a museum where they can't read or see on the counters. In this situation, I believe the most impactful thing you can do is really just start conversations with them. Obviously, books are the best way to do this. So I found this book at Karis bookstore in Atlanta, and it's called Racism and Intolerance. It's very simple and very clear. The examples are great. They're not traumatic. And this book has helped us out a lot, having all kinds of conversations, especially even, I'm going to get to it eventually, about war, which is a very hard concept, I think, for children to really grasp when they haven't experienced it themselves. Now, it doesn't just talk about war and here refugees. They also then talk about people who are in the world who are trying to make it a better place. So this is a great book, but I'm sure there are many others that talk about these topics that would be great. This is just the one that I have and wanted to show you. Another book we're going to read again, The Youngest Marcher. This is about a real girl who was in the Children's March during the Civil Rights era, and she was arrested. But the great thing about this book is not only does it introduce Dr. King and the Civil Rights movement, but it talks about how children have in the past and still can today make a difference. You know, it seems like, I'm sure in children's worlds, that adults are the only movers and shakers, but it has encouraged my child especially to know that she has power and she has a voice, and even at her young age, she can serve and she can make a difference. So I recommend that one. That one's really good too. Obviously, any book that is just about MLK is appropriate for the holiday. This book is called Whoever You Are, and I just wanted to show it to you because it's very simple. It's actually a book that adults should read today. You know, most great children's books are that way, but it's just talking about everyone is the same, even if your skin color is different, even if your homes are different, even if your language is different, your religion is different, you know. Then what it says is, it says everybody smiles, everyone feels joy, everyone feels hurt, that we are all, here we go. Their smiles are like yours and their laughs are like yours. So I think a book like this would be really appropriate for those of you who have children who are so way too young to even talk about some of the more heavier topics. So if your kids are older and they can read and they can enjoy a museum and be out in the cold, then I highly recommend you go check out one of the many parades that will be happening in Atlanta. Also, a lot of the museums are actually free on that day. I'll link some below, or doing free programming of some kind. And you could also take them to volunteer with you. A lot of organizations will say they have to be 18 or 16, or sometimes the cutoff is 8. So obviously that depends on how old your kid is and what organization you want to work with. But at the very least, going to a museum or celebrating in some way, educating your kids, is a great way to celebrate the day. And then if you can get in somehow some act of service, then that is a cherry on top. So I have talked about how to celebrate the day with your kids, but I also wanted to touch on the fact that even if you can't include your kids in donating or volunteering, you doing that still impacts your children. If you have childcare available to you, whether it's a co-parent or a grandparent, that you don't hesitate to just go out and volunteer without your kids if they're too young. You can come back, you can tell them about it, you can tell them what you did, why you did it, and what impact you hope it has in the world, and how you can't wait for them to do it with you next time when they're a little older. For example, this year, I'm gonna go to the National Museum for Peace and Justice in Montgomery. I am not going to take my children for that. They are absolutely not ready for it. That would not be appropriate. And I'm not even sure how much I'll be able to share with them. But I know that the act of me going and educating myself and having that experience will make me a better parent. It will help me educate them more on all the topics as they get older. And so I just want to encourage you guys to do the same. I know that just donating money to an organization might feel like that's not including your kids, but you can tell them about it. You can have them sit next to you. You can show them the website and talk about the organization and do the payment right there in front of them. Now, I want to emphasize that no act is too small. So, or if you are in a situation right now, maybe you have a little baby and you are not able to get out there in the world right now, I just want you to know no act is too small. If you know a neighbor who needs some moral support, maybe an extra hand, maybe a meal, anything, an elderly person who could just use a phone call and hear your voice, all of it is good stuff. So to recap very quickly, step one, I said watch the video and read books to your kids, get them thinking about service, get them thinking about the holiday, and you guys coming together to think of creative ways to celebrate it on the day. Second thing I said was, if your kids are old enough, attend a museum or go to a parade, do some volunteering with your children if you can. And my third suggestion is to just educate yourself, volunteer yourself, do what you can, and pass on the experience and the knowledge and the growth to your children. Again, I'll leave all the links below. Thank you so much for listening. Please share with the group what you ended up doing for MLK, and I will see you again soon.